I also believe that instead of terror being the order of the day, like any other part of this United Kingdom, unfortunately, criminality has in many instances taken over. And whilst I know that yesterday the IMC, International Monitoring Committee, reported on Northern Ireland, by and large that terrorism has been checked, but there are still problems with dissident Republicans. I am, however, aware that the issues to do with combating crime are as much a relevant part of dealing with the issues in my constituency and in my country as they are in dealing with the issues in the rest of this nation. And it is with that thought of combating crime that I want to concentrate my remarks and appeal to this government. Currently, fuel smuggling in Northern Ireland and fuel laundering accounts to the loss to the Exchequer of £245 million every year. It's something which could be stopped, and stopped almost immediately. It's something that could be checked, putting the criminals in the dock and ensuring that those people who are smuggling affecting their trade, their lawful trade, being brought to an end. How can it be done? I would suggest two things, and I hope that this government is listening. I hope that they, for example, reduce fuel duty in a region like Northern Ireland that shares a land border with another member state whose duty is lower than ours, and therefore and I believe that they should DNA our fuel so that it is impossible to launder, and so that we can catch those culprits who are involved in that illegal trade. And I hope that they would do that and make moves to build on some of the development work that was done by the previous administration that was looking at that as a way forward. I would also appeal to this government not to increase that duty on a region where energy costs are already so high that they're disproportionate and that they are affecting business and affecting the wherewithal of the economy to cope at this time. And I hope that the government is listening to that plea. I will conclude by commenting about my constituency. Whilst I was attracted by many of the remarks that some of my colleagues have made today in terms of their maiden speeches about how wonderful their constituencies are, I believe that my constituency is, of course, the finest constituency, not because it has returned me, but of course because it is a wonderful place. It has the geographic splendours of the Giant's Causeway to the Slemish Mountain, and it enjoys some wonderful cities that have brought forward some wonderful people. For example, the market town of Ballymoney that has brought forward my own sporting heroes of Joey Dunlop and Robert Dunlop, the motorcycle racers, and the market town of Ballymena, which is known as the city of the Seven Towers. I hope that that city does, during my tenure as Member of Parliament, actually get real city status, and Ballymena does become a city not just in name but actually by charter. And I hope that that comes forward. There's of course the holiday resort of Ballycastle, and the numerous, something like 20 villages in between, which make up the backbone of a large rural constituency. It boasts tobacco manufacturing, bus making, whisky brewing, and in the oldest whisky distillery in the United Kingdom, and indeed in the world, in Bushmills. And of course we also have the manufacture of tyres at Michelin, and agri-foods, which is probably our largest single industry. Those industries alone employ the vast bulk of people in my constituency. And whilst today we deal with DEFRA issues, I was disappointed that in the Royal Address there was very little said about agri-food production. I believe agri-food production is the way forward, certainly for my part of the United Kingdom, and I believe that it's important in terms of creating jobs and creating employment and creating development. And I just wish there was a little bit more coming from the front bench of the government in terms of frustrating a European agenda that is clearly against Northern Ireland producing its food, and it is about frustrating the production of that food. And I hope that this government and this Parliament stands up to those who would seek to frustrate us in the production of our food, as we stand up to other more powerful nations who are able to produce in Brazil and Argentina and across Europe milk and beef and lamb production. I hope that we get support from this government, and one of the ways they could do that is, of course, to make good on the promise that was made prior to the election about an ombudsman for the supermarkets. And I hope that that is done, because it would be essential in terms of stopping the perception that prices are fixed and I want our farmers to be a success. I want to see new talent and new blood coming into farms. Whilst I'm delighted that my father worked until he was 84, I meet farmers every day who are still working because they're 84 and their 50-year-old sons can't get into farming. I want to see their grandsons getting into farming, and that will only happen if this government stands up to support our agri industry. I leave those comments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.